What if I told you there could be a hidden threat lurking in your waste bins right now, capable of hitting your business with up to a $70,000 fine you didn't even see coming? If you're like most small businesses, you probably are making a crucial mistake with common items that should be handled as universal waste, completely unaware of the massive legal and financial risk you're taking. For over 2 decades, I have helped facilities just like yours avoid costly penalties associated with environmental and safety compliance. So stick with me for the next few minutes because this isn't just about trash, it's about avoiding catastrophic blows to your bottom line. You absolutely cannot afford to miss this. So let's get into it. We'll start by pulling back the curtain on this often misunderstood topic. For most businesses, waste just means trash, right? You toss it and it's gone. But for EPA and for your state regulators, some common waste items are actually classified as universal waste. And if you don't handle them exactly right, they instantly become fully regulated as hazardous waste. And that, my friends, is where those terrifying fines come from. So, what is universal waste? Think of it as a special category of hazardous waste that's generated by many businesses, but in smaller quantities. It contains hazardous components like mercury, lead, cadmium, or other toxic materials. Because they're so common, EPA has created specific, simpler rules to encourage recycling of these things rather than just throwing them in the landfill. But here's the kicker: if you don't follow the simpler rules, they revert back to the full blown hazardous waste rules, and those carry massive penalties. So, what are we talking about here? Well, things like fluorescent bulbs and other mercury containing lamps, all those long tubes, and maybe even your compact fluorescent lights or CFLs. Batteries, especially the rechargeable ones like lithium ion, nickel cadmium, your lead acid, even some of the single use batteries if they're accumulated in bulk. Electronics or e waste, old computers, monitors, printers, cell phones, VCRs. If it plugs in and it takes batteries and you're getting ready to toss it, it's probably regulated. Mercury containing devices, so think thermostats, thermometers, barometers. Certain pesticides. If you're a landscaping business or you use pest control products, leftover pesticides can fall under universal waste. Aerosol cans. Think old cans that you want to get rid of but may still contain substances that could be considered hazardous waste. But you need to note that this does not include aerosol cans that meet the regulatory definition of empty. If your business generates any of these, you're already dealing with universal waste, whether you know it or not. Now, understanding universal waste is a huge step, but are other hidden environmental risks possibly lurking in your operation? Many small businesses miss simple things during their day to day. That's why I created the Quick 16 Environmental Inspection Walkthrough template. It's free. It's an easy to use checklist designed to help you quickly spot common environmental compliance issues before they turn into costly problems. You can get this free template right below by using the link that's in the description. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, it matters because if you treat universal waste like regular trash, if you just toss a broken fluorescent bulb in a dumpster or put a pile of old laptops out for regular pickup, you're technically disposing of hazardous waste. And those fines aren't just a slap on the wrist. Depending on your regulator, hazardous waste management fines can skyrocket up to $70,000 per violation, especially if it's ongoing or you've been warned before. Now, beyond the money, you're looking at reputational damage, potential legal action, and a huge headache for your business that pulls you away from the things that you do best. Many small businesses get caught because they honestly just do not know. But ignorance, in this case, is definitely not bliss. It's incredibly expensive. So, what do you need to do right now in order to protect your business? The good news is handling universal waste properly is manageable, but it requires a shift in mindset. You need to do the following. First, identify it. Know exactly which items in your waste streams are universal waste. Go through your supplies, your old equipment, your maintenance materials. Second, store it properly. Don't just toss it in a box. It needs to be stored in a way that prevents breakage or leaks within a container that's structurally sound. Keep similar types of waste together and make sure that the containers stay closed except when adding more waste. Each container must be labeled clearly with the words universal waste or waste and the specific waste type, so like batteries or lamps or mercury containing equipment, etc. The accumulation start date should also be noted on the container labeling, and you want to keep your specific waste type stored together. Third, manage accumulation. There are accumulation limits which, if exceeded, could make you subject to additional requirements. Moreover, there are time limits on how long you can store universal waste on site before you ship it to off-site disposal or recycling. In most cases, the limit is a year, but you should check your state rules concerning universal waste. Finally, recycle or dispose of the waste properly. You can't just put it out with the regular trash. You must send it to a universal waste handler, a universal or hazardous waste transporter, or a universal hazardous waste destination facility that's permitted to accept it. Many big box stores will offer battery or light bulb recycling, but for larger quantities or diverse types of universal waste, you'll need to get a specialized vendor. The important thing is to be intentional with these specific waste streams, preventing them from contaminating your regular trash and ensuring that they go to the right place. For more in depth information on universal waste management, you can check out my blog post, Universal Waste Fundamentals and Practical Tips to help you say never again to noncompliance. It's on my blog, and I've left the link in the description below. Now, let's talk about the biggest pitfalls for small businesses when you're talking about universal waste. First, the out of sight, out of mind mentality, assuming that if it's in a box in the back, then it's absolutely fine. For example, consider this scenario. A small manufacturer has been segregating its universal waste and storing it in the correct containers, but the person responsible isn't keeping track of the accumulation start dates and they don't know when their last pickup occurred. An inspector finds this, and even though the company has the best of intentions, it's considered improper storage. That one small mistake could easily result in a $17,000 fine for a simple paperwork violation. Second, not knowing the difference between a universal waste handler and a regular trash hauler. The last thing you or your trash hauler want is a hefty fine because your universal waste was illegally disposed of in the municipal landfill. Think about this common situation. A business owner decides to use the regular trash hauler to remove their spent fluorescent lamps and batteries to save a few $100s. This seems convenient, but the hauler isn't permitted to transport this waste. If that hauler is caught illegally disposing of it in the landfill, then the company could be found fully liable for the actions of their contractor. That choice could easily lead to a fine of over five figures for improper disposal. And perhaps the most critical is not training your staff on this. Every employee who handles universal waste, even if it's just changing a light bulb, they need to know the basics. Here's another example. An untrained janitor, unfamiliar with universal waste regulations, throws a single monitor into a regular dumpster. An inspector sees this during a walkthrough, and that single, seemingly harmless mistake results in a citation for improper disposal and a fine of over $20,000. That common scenario proves that every employee is a link in your compliance chain. Now, navigating all of these rules can feel overwhelming, and universal waste is just one piece of the puzzle. If you're looking for a simpler way to manage your overall environmental health and safety compliance without getting bogged down in all of the jargon and weeding through useless information, then you absolutely need my Simple EHS Compliance for Small Businesses ebook. You can cut through the complexity and build a strong compliant program that you actually need. Download the ebook for free. The link is below. So, now you're in the know about universal waste and you have the strategies to ensure that you manage yours well to avoid those violations and hefty fines. If you found value in this content, please like, share, and subscribe so that I can reach more small business leaders who may be struggling with their environmental and safety compliance. Also, feel free to leave any EHS questions you may have in a comment below. And don't forget to download the free resources that I referenced in this video. The links are in the description. And if you want my best tips on avoiding regulatory fines like the $70,000 ones that we talked about in the video here, check out the video on your screen. It's all about how to effectively manage those dreaded agency inspections. Stay safe, environmentally aware, and proactive. And I'll see you in the next video.